realized that I only have a Keurig. So I can't even make coffee, like real coffee. It's like for the friggin' cups. You know what I'm talking about? The Keurig cups. The what? K-cups. Yeah, the K-cups.
Oh, where you make the machine and it pours it in?
No, it's like you put these little
you go to
cups.
that thing
Yeah, you press it down or whatever like that.
It's still coffee, you know.
Yeah, it's still coffee. You want coffee?
Let's get talking.
Yeah, all right. Cool. Are we
no
rolling?
More chit chat.
Yeah, we're rolling. So, you know what I got to do real quick? So, anyway, we talked about so much like before this podcast. I was like Manny probably thinks I'm like a complete idiot. It's like, man, this guy doesn't want to talk to me. That's because I was like trying to like save all this for the show, but I was like, man, he's like, everyone's at the table. Let's get into it.
Yeah,
So,
I was talking on the way over here already, so I've been talking.
Yeah.
I've been letting all the ammunition go, you know.
No, that's all
I had a
good.
camera rolling in the car, but that was all the good stuff. You
Right.
know?
That's awesome. And so, Carlene, how you doing?
What's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening?
Nothing. So, all right. So, listen. This is the Connected by Water podcast, powered by Joey Jeep Rim and fueled by our very good friends at Papa's Pilar Rum. We also like to thank the W Sauce for powering us up with the breakfast sauce. I mean, no other better way to say it than Manny Puig. What's up? How you doing? You're here.
Yeah,
I'm the studio.
Yeah,
This is great.
I love your artwork, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, man. And I love your artwork too. I mean, in front of me, I got like wood sculptures. I got the tridents. I got the dagger that killed Caesar. Right in front of me. Like, this thing is killer. Right. And you brought some cool stuff with you today. So I want to really quickly mention that thanks to Astrid, our good friend Astrid, for linking us up. So I want to give her a shout out and say thanks to her. So
okay.
And then I announce our do-gooder of the week, right? And that is our Starbright do-gooder of the week. I'm bringing it up here, and here we go. All right, our do-gooder of the week is Willie Lee and his son Jalen from Native Fly Charters up there in Merritt Island, and they are our Starbright do-gooders of the week, and they win the bucket full of fun from Starbright and all their salt off the reggae sponge and all the great things, about $200 worth of stuff in their bucket. So thank you, Willie Lee and son Jalen, for being do-gooders and picking up all the plastic in the water and being good stewards of our environment and just making sure that other people follow suit and keeping our water clean. Because without clean water, we got a bunch of nothing about anything we're going to talk about today. So, Manny, I don't even know where to begin with you because there's so many things, right? So I was trying to do... I usually don't like to do too much research, right? Because then it like muddies the water of like a natural conversation. But I was doing like, as I started looking into some of the things, I'm like, man, what am I going to talk about with Manny, like, and all this stuff. And I started thinking about all the stuff, of course, that you've done with Jackass, and then Wild Boys, and Gator Boys, and like all this other stuff you've done. And you've really got such an impressive resume from a television standpoint. But you've done so many things before that brought you to this life, and I kind of want to cover all bases with you today, like really like from the beginning, because I have questions, lots of questions when it comes to you and the genesis and the evolution and the metamorphosis of you, because you are such a polarizing figure and such a signature character, if you will, right, to this industry. And first of all, I'm excited that you're here in the studio, and as we mentioned before, artist to artist, I'm excited that you're here because you really do bring passion into your work. It speaks volumes when you talk about just the life that you live. You live a life that's connected by water, certainly, right? But you bring it forward in your artwork, and you bring it forward in the shirts that you design. But it's very evident that you bring it forward in your heart. So the first thing I want to ask you to get started was, how'd you get started? Like, you were Cuban born, right?
Yes.
And when did you come to America?
1961.
1961. So you're about 6 years old, or was it something?
Yeah,
You're like very
I'm
young,
69 right now.
69, impeccable shape, by the way. Um, so you come to America at a young age, and you took to the water like a fish, right? Or did it start that early for you?
It started in Cuba,
Okay.
picking up like lizards, land crabs, fascination with wildlife. I stick my hole in crab holes, and when I was 4 years old, I grabbed a big land crab by the claw, and I would hold on till my dad would come grab my back legs and pull me out, and the crab would come out of the hole. But they asked me, aren't you afraid he's going to bite you? And I said, no, if I grab him by the elbow, he can't reach him with the other claw and get me. So, I mean, I was a very stupid kid, but when it came to that, I was smart. Yeah, when it came to schoolwork, oh, yeah, no, it's like, oh, really bad. But that kind of stuff, figuring out how to do that, yeah. And then by the time I got over here, it was early age. The first thing they told me, they're venomous snakes in the United States. Don't pick them up. And sure enough, that's what I was looking for.
Right.
And I used to watch like Sea Hunt. And Tarzan movies, going underwater and all that stuff. So I was fascinated with sea hunt, being a diver. And I always wanted at an early age to get into the water and go spearfishing. All that attracted me.
Yeah.
The woods and the swamp.
So did your dad do anything like?
He liked the outdoors and all that stuff. He's enthusiastic about it, but I mean, he was killed when I was 5 years old.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So I only got to learn a little bit of that from him.
Wow. So so you lost your dad at 5, and then you came to Cuba. You came here from Cuba.
Yeah, we came over from Cuba. Yes.
Wow. So it's just you and your mom.
My mom and my 3 sisters. But the whole Cuba story, that's another story. We'll hit you with that with some other time.
Okay.
If you want. But all of whatever happened down there, all the politics and everything.
Right. Well, I don't want to know about the the politics is well scripted, but I want to learn about how it affected you, though.
Right. Well, I still wanted to live in the wild. I was fascinated. I wanted to live of the outdoors. I didn't want to get a job like a regular person did.
Right.
I'm not interested in that. By the time I was in high school, I was hand catching large alligators, and I was spearfishing.
What made you do that? Like, is it just this
the
innate
movies,
thing?
The movies when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
But I did it for real.
Right.
It wasn't so much alligator wrestling. I would jump into a swamp at night and hand grab an alligator and come
up
with
high school.
In high school. I was catching large alligators by hand.
Okay. So you want to kind of just prove to yourself that that's not just make believe, like this could really happen.
It could really happen. And the same thing, I want to do the same thing with sharks, which I ended up doing later. I got bit by rattlesnake in high school for the first time too.
So for the first time.
Yeah.
So that, obviously it's not the one that.
No, that was the second bite.
That was the second one. So what's that like? Like that took a little while, before you had
this rattlesnake here.
Just so the crowd knows. So you got one finger amputated because of a rattlesnake bite.
Yes,
right?
From big Western Diamondback,
right,
in Texas.
Okay.
I was doing a TV show.
So but from what I gather, that took a while until you had to get it amputated, right?
About a month.
So a snake bite isn't something where you wake up the next morning and okay, we averted that. We're it stays with you, right?
No, it keeps working. The damage is I'm probably still recuperating my hand.
Really?
It's 10 years later, yeah.
10 years. Wow.
Probably more, yeah, about 10 years or more than that, I think. More than that. No, it's about 15 years. I got to keep track of time.
So what makes that different? The first snake bite,
this was a pygmy rattlesnake.
Okay.
When I was 17 in high school, and
right.
My whole arm swelled up. It was pretty bad. The thumb's a little different, a little flatter on this side, but this one was a huge rattlesnake, and I swelled up to here. I thought I was gonna die at that time.
I bet. Your whole arm.
I was praying. I thought that. If you look at me in the video, I'm real calm about it because there's nothing to get excited about. Yeah, the rattlesnake got me. Here he is, type of deal. And everybody, okay, let's go to the hospital.
Yeah.
One of those. But yeah, that was probably the worst bite. I've been bitten by 4 different kinds of shark. I got bit by an alligator once in my entire career in the back. I got ambushed in the Everglades by an alligator. That's the only time I ever been bit by an alligator.
Take me through that moment if you could.
Well, I used to hand catch alligators. I had a lot of close calls, millions of them.
Right.
Then I learned how to levitate, discovered how to levitate alligators by lifting them up like this underwater.
Mm-hmm.
I learned the alligators world underwater in the wild. By going down there, hand catching them and all that, I learned a lot about alligators. But good Lord protected me many times.
Sure.
So I was out. I had levitated a couple alligators, had a few people on the airboat. I went down the canal. I was going to try to hand catch a garfish as I do hand fishing to show the guests I had with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear the airboat at a distance. And all of a sudden, I was too lazy to look behind me. And you got to keep checking behind you. And all of a sudden, it felt like I got hit with a baseball bat across my back.
Really?
I mean, like the daylights were knocked out of me. And I said, is that the airboat? No, they're going to come to reality. I don't have to see it. That's an alligator.
Did he hook into you?
He bit and pulled the wetsuit, and he put 12 scratches on my back. I didn't know what he had done until later. So I had a real bad bruise here, and then he pulled the wetsuit. So he did this.
Oh my God!
It's kind of like this. He
Yeah.
grabbed, but he didn't get a. If you would have got my arm where he locked in, he would have ripped it off. So he got like a slip bite on me.
Well, it sounds like it's pretty good that you had the wetsuit on, though.
Yeah,
They, protected you a little bit.
it helped me. And I had my arm forward. I had my arm
Were you out there
behind
by
me.
yourself doing this?
I was in the water when I was attacked. The airboat was coming behind me, and I told people I just got bit. So I confronted the alligator right away. He surfaced on
So
me.
you turned towards him.
Yeah,
And
and
you
I
have
went.
to, right? You have a
I
choice
went.
at that
Well,
point.
he slipped his grip on me,
Okay.
so I went after him and chased him. I want to reverse
Right.
the situation. So once he took off, okay, he took off. I grabbed him by the neck,
I love him.
rode him down like
you
this.
motherfucker! You bite me again. Sorry.
So the alligator went away. Then when the airboat pulled up, I said, I pulled myself in the airboat. Well, I'm able to get in the airboat, so I don't know what's wrong. And then I pulled the wetsuit and I said, how does it look back there? They took a picture and I looked. I said, man, I need to put bleach on it, something. I need to get on that right away.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, I just had 12 scratches and everything. I said, man, I'm good. I'm good. And that was it. Because you don't know what's there until you look at it because your adrenaline's running.
Right.
So you don't feel sometimes the injury that bad.
Well, bites like that, like an animal like that, like you can get infected too, right? That's a real
alligators kill people with the infection sometimes.
Wow.
But I didn't get an infection. I think they had drinks and they put some alcohol on my back and all that.
Yeah.
But it was a large alligator. So if it had been like a 6-footer, he would have sliced me easier. But the large alligator's got a duller tooth. So what he did, the wetsuit encased the tooth. So when he cut me, it had he was scratching me, my skin. He had like a covering from the actual wetsuit. So I didn't really get this full bacterial load into me.
Yeah. Thank God. Yeah. So all right. So you said you went for this alligator. Like I can only think like alligators in general. Aren't they? They're pretty much like they're predators, obviously, but they usually look for like the weakest link in a situation, don't they? Like I hear stories about they go for the dog or they go for like the little kid when there's like a group of people.
Sometimes I've seen case after case where they got the person instead of the dog.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few cases. All alligators are different.
Right.
You don't know who he is when you run into him. Usually the man-eater, you've never seen him before. He hides. He's going to come out of nowhere and do his attack.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference, in my opinion, between a nuisance gator that people have been feeding that follows you around to a real man-eater that hides. And
They're
then
like stealth.
Stealth, yeah. He's the one that go after a deer, go after you. Some alligators like to go in the water and eat little fish or turtles. And they don't bother people because they're all different. Every individual is different. Same thing with the sharks. All animals are different. Like we're different. People are different.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing in the animal world. Some are stronger. Some are faster. Some have different hunting techniques. Some alligators hunt different than other gators. They learn ideas from others, and they have their own techniques specializing in the way they hunt. We found, like I tend to bounce around a lot. So
no,
if you don't
good.
mind.
You're
so
good.
I'm aquatic.
Let it rip.
We're gonna
man.
compare the alligator, let's say, to the shark. Okay, we're hand feeding a hammerhead.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I grab a hammer and I ride it. The hammerhead gets all freaked out and never comes back again.
You ride it.
Yes. Yeah, I started riding hammerheads over 20 years ago. Then another hammerhead, I can ride it, go for a ride, he'll come back, you can ride it again. You want to go on a ride? Go ahead. You want to go on a ride? Go ahead. All of us can go on a ride on it. He
Really?
doesn't care. And you can
So
all go.
after you've ridden it the first time,
He'll come back and you can ride him again,
Come
ride
on.
him again, and ride him again.
you want to go ride an alligator, Carly? Or
No, a
a
hammerhead.
hammerhead, Carly?
Okay,
No.
that you can do that with a hammerhead. Now, some individuals don't care. Another individual, you ride it one time, he gets so stressed out, he won't come back again.
Right.
Oh, I don't like that. Some hammers could care less.
I guess it's all on how you ride it, right?
No, it depends on the individual shark. Some of them were more likely to want to eat you.
Right.
The hammerhead doesn't have a bad temper.
Right.
I'm talking great hammerhead, the largest. He attacks when he's hungry. If he attacks a person, it's because he wants to eat him, not because he's mad at that person.
Okay.
While if you piss off a bull shark or lemon shark, he can attack you because he's angry with you. So they have two reasons to attack. They're really hungry or they're mad.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, somebody's fighting a bull shark in a rod and reel. Hey, I got one in there. Hey, Joe, whatever, get in the water, get a picture with him. Bad idea. You get in the water, take a picture of that bull shark. He's got a hook in his mouth. He's very angry. So he's going to go right at that diver and unleash terror upon him. He may bite him 4 or 5 times in a second. A lemon shark will usually do the same thing, bite real hard one. Well, if it's a tiger or a great hammerhead, you can probably get in and do it. I don't recommend it because, hey, man, you were wrong that time. Yeah.
Right. So they're foodies.
So I don't, there's no rules out there. So every time I do something, hey, that sounds like, I'm telling you, you can ride a hammerhead, you can do this. But keep in mind, I always give you that warning. This is dangerous. These animals, there's always, we've never seen a hammerhead do that before. Well, he did it today. Right. So there's always the unexpected. And I tell people, there's no rules out there. When these animals come upon you, there's no consequence. They don't understand consequence of what they're doing. They could care less. You're just another living creature for them to attack. It's as simple as that.
I mean, I kind of get a kick out of, what's the proper term to use? I mean, let's just say shark lovers, right? For lack of a better term, right? I mean, because everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say that. About how they want, the poor sharks, right? But
the misunderstood. They say misunderstood. No, there's no misunderstanding. That's a dangerous predator. He'll kill you. As a conservation, if there's a lot of sharks, go ahead and kill them. If there's sharks are few, stop the fishing until the population comes back. It's a resource.
Right.
So you manage a resource. You manage them just like you would grouper, red snapper, or any other fish out there. Mm-hmm. They're not special. They're all predatory fish to one degree or another. But they're not misunderstood. That animal's hungry, he will attack you.
I kind of look at
He'll eat human flesh. All fish will eat you.
100%. Yeah.
Even a snapper will bite you.
Right.
Will eat you. If you sit still in the water, you don't move long enough, a snapper will come and start nipping on you. Bluegill will try to eat you. Bluegills in fresh water if you don't move.
Right.
So everything out there attacks. Everything is, there's a lot of barracudas have attacked people unprovoked for no reason whatsoever. Sharks is a whole bunch of different types that have attacked people, including like nurse sharks. They got teeth and they bite incredibly hard. The worst shark bite I ever got was from a nurse shark.
So how'd that happen?
We were chasing with a boat, dive off the boat and tackle the shark in the shallows.
All right.
I did that to 12 lemon sharks. And I got bit twice out of the 12 jumps. So I quit doing that.
So all right. So take me back here for a second. So you're just running on the boat. You're seeing the sharks and you're just jumping on them. Like to catch them by hand. I mean, I saw you hand catching like little makos too. I saw some videos of that.
Yeah. My friend designed that one. He was getting frustrated jumping on a boat, off a boat, and he caught a lemon shark by hand. Oh, that's a great idea. And then as we started doing it, I started getting bit. Then I did nurses like that too, and I got bit by a nurse shark. I also got bit by a Caribbean reef shark in the middle of a feeding frenzy.
In the middle of a feeding frenzy?
Well, I created the feeding frenzy. Okay. And I got in the middle of it, and I got bit. If you're in a feeding frenzy, stay on the perimeter.
Okay.
And it's best to be up current of the bait. They usually attack down current.
Right.
The best thing to do is don't get in a feeding frenzy. I mean, if you really want to be smart about it.
Right. But you created it.
Yeah, we used to do that. Yeah.
Sorry. So all of this that you're talking about, like a lot of it is self-created circumstances, like you're saying. Like a lot of it is right. You're jumping in at the sharks and you're creating feeding frenzies. And we're getting to, like we talked about in the beginning, like understanding your origin, your evolution, your metamorphosis, and all this stuff like this. This is all kind of like the evolution of you, right? Where you're going through these processes in high school,
Well,
and you're living this,
and
making the fantasy reality,
and
right?
in the sharks, it started because I used to spearfish for a living, and that brought me in contact with sharks. I used to hunt the sharks like they were fish.
So this is actually the perfect answer to the question I was going to say. So how did this actually evolve into you becoming, just jumping and diving on sharks and creating frenzies?
Yeah, well, it started with hunting the sharks. I've shot them with power heads. I shot them with spears.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started, creating frenzies. First, drew them in for the video. And then, okay, how about riding? I started riding, hand feeding. So I hand fed many different kinds of shark. And also hand caught. I started hand catching sharks.
Mm-hmm.
I hand caught nurses, lemons. I hand caught mako sharks. 3 so far.
So, I mean, what's
It's
the mako? I mean, how is that? I mean, that's like a pretty ferocious creature.
I caught them underwater. I didn't jump on them. I would feed them,
Right.
and like hand feed them, get them to come close to me with food, and I move real slow because he's the fastest shark in the sea. So you
Right.
don't want to.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
You don't want to threaten them. You're real calm, and then you slowly get your hands and get a grip on them, and then hang on.
Like Pat Ford, master photographer Pat Ford, was in here was our last podcast with Pat and Rufus, and he does a lot of diving with sharks and tiger sharks mainly, and so feeding the tiger sharks, and you basically just explained that they're more driven by hunger and not by anger, so it would almost make sense why people are hand feeding tigers, right? Without incident
Tiger
for the
is
most part,
very good shark to work with,
right?
but if you're not paying attention or anything, the wrong day, he'll kill you.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine. Yeah.
Tigers is good to work with. I've
I
worked
think
with.
they actually just lost a couple guys to tiger
Yeah, no,
attacks. Yeah.
they're good to work with. Once they get too full, they leave.
Right.
I've noticed you fill their belly, they've eaten so much. But I found one in the Gulf of Mexico one time, way offshore in Louisiana, and he was attacking the boat, attacking everything.
Mm-hmm.
I fed him 8 tuna heads this big, and then he left.
Really?
But I was lifting him by here, lifting his head out of the water, everything you could, riding him, everything you could possibly do with him. And I was having a great time with him, but he attacked one of the guys and pushed him up against the boat. He bit the lower unit. We're drifting, and he's biting the lower unit of the boat and shaking the boat. The whole boat was being shaken by him.
Really?
Yeah, he would get
How
aggressive.
big was that?
11-footer.
Yeah, wow. Wow. So, I mean, the mako shark, I mean, that's a little bit different, like coming up to you though, isn't than like the tiger. Like you see, everyone's seen the videos of the tiger sharks like coming in.
That's all. They haven't seen the tiger moving fast.
Right.
If the tiger moves fast, it's a flash.
Yeah.
So a lot of people playing with them have never seen what the tiger is capable of doing.
So what about the mako? When you caught the mako, how was that approached when it came to you?
Well, I was touching him, and all of a sudden, hey, let's do this. And once I grabbed him, the mako starts to take off. So I don't know what he's going to do. So next thing you know, he's like pulling me through the water like
you
this.
Grabbing him by the pecs or the?
I reach underneath and I grab this pec here,
right,
and the dorsal.
Okay.
So I'm like this on him.
So so he can't come back and bite
he can't reach me from there. He can't reach me. So what he does, instead of sounding, he tries to jump.
Right.
So I'm able to catch air and catch air. If you ride him,
he brought you up.
Yeah. If you ride the mako, he'll take you down.
Mm-hmm.
If you're riding his hold the dorsal, hang on, he'll start slowly going deeper as he cruises. But if you catch him like this, he tries to catch air. So all you gotta do is just hang on till you're ready to let him go or show him around, whatever.
Right.
And keep him. If you're doing the film, there's no reason to keep it. I'll let it go.
Right.
If you're out in the middle of the ocean, you got nothing to eat or something like that, you may want to keep it and eat it. That would be the alternative. But there's other easier ways to catch one than hand catching it. It's the challenge of hand catching. It's the most primitive form of fishing there is.
I mean, you do things most guys don't do. I mean, that's a given.
Yeah. I
Right?
hand caught silky sharks also. I could roll them and get them to sleep and lift them right out of the water. I could just
Silkies
toss
are
them
pretty
into a boat.
aggressive.
Yeah, they'll bite you too.
Yeah.
I've had leopard shark in California. I caught one. I caught makos, of course, lemons. I caught the makos, duskies. No, not dusky. I hand fed duskies too
Okay.
and rode them. That's a huge shark.
Yeah, those
Also,
those are definitely big sharks.
But I've,
They're like girthy.
yeah, I'm trying to see. Yeah, so it's basically silky, mako, leopard shark, nurse shark, lemon shark. I've hand caught also from the boat. I've hand caught them too. When a shark is attacking a boat, you chase him around. You can reach in. You don't have to jump on him. Reach in and grab his head
Right.
and get on his back or grab his tail when he's attacking the boat. So you can boat a shark like that. We chased a lemon shark in 10 feet of water. He come up and bite the boat. Finally, one of the guys just reached over, grabbed the tip of his tail. That's it. You got him. You can hand catch him like that. He's not going anywhere from the boat, from a low boat.
Is there anybody else out there like doing this? Like seriously, I mean,
There's people diving with sharks right now. There's people hand feeding. I'm sure there's people
but
riding.
but like you,
We were doing it before anybody.
right?
Now hand catching. I don't know. Most people that when they're doing, they're not when you hand catch, you provoke the shark that he might bite you
Right.
in the process.
Well, that would be, I think, the threat of like the mako, like you said, like going down, and then you got to let him go. Like, what's to stop him
I've
from
never
doubling
had
back on you?
I never had that problem happen, but doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Right.
I know they jumped in the boat and bitten fishermen,
Right.
so they definitely will bite you.
Yeah. So speaking of jumping in the boat, I mean, do you ever just fish?
Yes, I like fishing.
Yeah. I mean, I was wondering that earlier today. I was looking up some things. I'm like, man, you're like jumping in, like it's almost like once you it's like a drug. Like once you like go there, it's like, you know.
I try to avoid going out on a boat with sharks. I don't want to go one more time out there and get bit
Right.
doing what I do. But if I get in the water and I get fired up, next thing you know, I'm going to want to do that extreme
You
stuff.
still go in the water, Adam?
I haven't lately, but if I put me in the right position, I may see it. I may get carried away.
Yeah.
Because once I'm there, yeah, it's like a wow. And you start getting into it, okay, and you start pushing the envelope.
Right.
And it's adventure. It's fun. It's a blast.
Yeah.
It's
for you.
No, it's great for anybody. It's just
I don't know, man. I
but
can't imagine doing it.
Not if you get hurt. I caught a lot of fish by hand too.
Mm-hmm.
I caught giant groupers by hand.
Well, you got right here, like in front of you, like the picture here. You got like hand fishing and you got knife fishing. Explain to me all this.
This is hand catching a red grouper.
Okay.
The red grouper sees you, goes in a hole. You
Right.
reach in the hole, grab his tail, start to move him around.
Like noodling.
Yeah, you reach the other hand and try to and then grab him by the gills and pull him out. Noodling, you grab the catfish by the mouth.
Okay.
Usually.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I got a 72-pound flathead catfish
Wow.
in Oklahoma noodling. Yeah, before I caught 6 catfish in 2 days.
Yeah.
Or 3 days, I think. Well, and then knifing. Yeah, I've gotten groupers out of holes with knives.
Mm-hmm.
I've also hand caught red grouper, black grouper, gag grouper, and Goliath grouper, including I caught a Goliath grouper as big as this table.
Well, that's
before.
One of our questions from Dave Chaffin. I believe you used to dive with him down in the Keys.
So we take some questions from the audience sometimes. They'll send in some questions for you, and they can win a like a Papa's Pilar bottle of rum. So we got some questions lined up for you here.
Well, he just wants to know, since you're on the subject, if you're still putting your arm through Goliath groupers and bringing them to the surface.
I haven't done it in a long time. The feds asked me a long time ago not to do it anymore.
Oh, okay. The
Feds did.
A
couple guys in sunglasses come knocking at your door.
I heard they were looking for me, so I went to see them before they found me. And they said, yeah, it's a great catch and all that, but we don't want you to catch and release them. Back then, the feds have said we don't want you to catch them at all. It's not a catch and release fishery.
Okay.
And a guy, but we're doing Animal Planet, so I invited the feds on Animal Planet, and then they joined forces with me.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
It went
You
well.
got him down on their water hand catching?
No,
grouper?
he came on the show with us, and no, the guy told me, they made me sign a piece of paper not to do it.
Okay.
At the time, the guy said,
they can't really keep you from doing that, though, can they? Technically, by law?
right now, people catch and release them. I think you can do it in state waters.
Right.
I don't know the feds.
I mean, by hand though.
It's the same thing.
I mean,
if you
the
caught
most
it by
of those
hook,
laws like
well, they
apply
didn't-
for like hook and line.
well, they didn't want you to take them out of the water or say, "Hey, I'm using this bait now today to catch a goliath grouper." According to them, that was a no-no.
Okay.
They said, you're not
Is that like
supposed to.
FWC
They
stuff?
said you catch it by accident. No, it wasn't FWC. This is federals from Washington. The
Okay.
big dogs.
Really?
Yeah, the head guy came
Yeah,
down.
the man coming down on you, huh?
The man came down and he met with the producer. And next thing you know, we invited him on the show, and they were like, "Okay, I don't want anybody picking on Manny.
Mm-hmm.
We're on board with him." That was the end. That was the
That's
people
awesome.
were few people calling in and complaining, "Hey, Manny is bothering the Goliath groupers,"
Yeah, the shark lovers, right?
yeah.
So
that.
I got a question for you. So we're talking about all this cool, crazy stuff, right? And you're following your heart, you're following your passion, and go through all that. Like you love this. Like this is like your world. This is like your element. This is everything that you want to do. When did the light bulb get off for you to make a living doing this and actually start getting paid? Like what was your watershed moment for that?
It's a very slow process to try to getting paid. You got to get on TV,
Right.
and somebody has to come up with the idea. A producer has to pitch it, and so it's a long process.
So TV was basically your outlet, right?
TV
Really?
first it was shoot the fish and sell the fish, and later on it was like, hand feed, hand catch, interact with the different marine life, and put that on TV. And then the alligators, the same thing.
Right.
I didn't have a license for gators, so what I did is I caught the gators and let them go, and also had a few little, warnings about that back in the past, in the early days.
So like again, like I'm looking at this, like if you're doing catching them by hand, it's like mano a mano kind of stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so what is? I mean, can they stop you really?
Well, they don't want you to molest the alligators.
But there's
wa-
only like one you, so that maybe like there's no
Well,
law before this. Like no
there-
one would be crazy enough to do
At
this.
one time,
You know what I mean? So like, was there really a law about it?
At one time, I had the James Billy had my back on the reservation,
Okay.
and once on Indian land, I was
Billy
like,
Swamp.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Billy Swamp, no, and the Indian reservation,
Yeah.
the whole thing. Yeah. So that was one of the cases that came up a long time ago. But other than that, it's a boundary thing. You're not supposed to. It's a misdemeanor
Mhm.
to feed the gators or to bother them.
Okay.
So a lot of things. What I started doing is levitating the alligators instead of catching them.
The thing underwater. Yeah.
Yeah. I could prove I've levitated an alligator, show everybody, and put him right back where I found him, and he's still calm.
Really.
Sometimes, yeah, gator will be relaxed. If you tilt the head straight up, it'll go into tonic immobility for a few seconds, so you can get them all the way to the surface. I
Right.
took a 13-foot plus alligator all the way to the surface from 25 feet down in a canal
Really.
because I put him in tonic immobility. I did that to huge alligators
That's
before.
insane. He was 25 feet down.
Yeah, it's easier to do that to the hand catch a gator. You're gonna hand catch a gator, you're gonna have to go mano a mano with him,
Right.
and he's gonna try to kill you. So it's more risk on me to hand catch one. I did hand catch in my life when I was quite a few.
I mean, how often did you catch yourself in situations where you're like, oh shit, this is it?
With alligators,
With anything.
I can't. I've been attacked so many times.
The silence under that water when you're coming up those 25 feet, it's got to be pretty incredible.
I was so I'm just focusing to keep the gator in tonic immobility. I've done it so many times that it was just like I could levitate 50 gators in one day.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
just go through a swamp like that. I've been in swamps before. There's so many, you got to push your way through the gators. There's so many.
And then you find yourself all the time in life-threatening situations.
I was
right?
in the swamp them at night, swimming around with them, swimming underneath them. I've did a lot of stuff nighttime, daytime. I spent a lot of time in there with alligators.
I mean, really like that situation that you explained with like the airboat, right? Was that really like the most dangerous time with an alligator? Or
No,
there's
by
like,
no means.
So
It's
there
a time
are there
that I got
times
bit.
where you're thinking like I'm not getting out of this.
No, that time is the only one that actually got me. But if I see an alligator coming after me, I would just get low in the water.
Right.
And as he's speeding up towards me, at the last minute, I would keep my hand low because when he opens his mouth, make sure I'm underneath that jaw.
Yeah.
So when he lunges, I pick up on his jaw and lift his head up. Once I tilt his head all the way up, it confuses the alligator. It usually warps the attack.
Mhm.
If he does it again, do the same thing over again.
Now
But
you don't
instead of running, I turn around and wait for him the light moment to lift his head up. Just make sure your hand doesn't go inside his mouth. I mean, don't go out there to look for this. You know, I'm not telling people to go out.
I'm not.
And try.
Don't worry about it. I'm not.
No. Anybody listening, I'm telling don't go out there and do this.
Yeah. No, actually, that's pretty good side note at this point in the show. Is like we're not condoning that. You know, the untrained person does this.
If you hand feed sharks, he might eat you. He might get eaten.
Right.
He might take your hand off.
You might take your hand off. He might grab you and roll.
Yeah, anything can happen. He can kill you. If you play with alligators, you play with them, they can kill you. If you play with venomous snakes, they can kill you. If you play with bears, which I've played with before, they can kill you too.
So you're segueing perfectly into what I want to get at. So it doesn't stop at sharks and gators for you. Like there's bears, there's boars, and you know, and you've had some encounters, like pretty dangerous moments there too, haven't you?
I've had bears mock charge me. In Alaska, I swim with grizzly bears.
Grizzly bears.
And in the water, where I feel comfortable with them.
Okay.
And also killer
whales.
whales.
Why would you feel? Well, I guess
if I had
I'd
fins
rather be
on,
in water with a grizzly than on land anyway.
I swim with black bears and grizzlies. If I had fins on me, I can get away from it the last second. But I can come up and like I pet a black bear in the water as he was just busy swimming across the lake. Also, I swam with killer whales. I did it because I was fired up. But to me, that's very uncomfortable because there's nothing I can do to stop.
I was about to say, and that's probably got to be probably the most dangerous thing you've probably done, right?
Yeah, nothing happened, but if you tell me right now, I would think one of the most dangerous animals on the planet is a killer whale. And
got to be an orca, right?
There's nothing more dangerous. Just because we hadn't seen them kill somebody doesn't mean they're not going to.
Strongest, biggest,
they
fastest,
kill everything.
Most agile.
They kill everything.
Ruthless.
They just sunk a boat recently.
Really?
They attacked the boat, I think. Yeah, killer whales did. I just heard that. But yeah, they'll attack anything. In the aquarium, one of them killed 3 people. So.
I mean, they'll just. I mean, you're gone like that, and there's really nothing you could do about that.
They kill great white sharks. They attack blue whales, gang up on them, and kill them. So yeah, there's a lot of killer whales out there, a lot of orcas, and they're very dangerous. They're cool, smart, and dangerous.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Carlene, you want to bust out some more of these strange questions for Manny?
He's kind of answering some of them, so I don't know if we need to re-ask them.
Let's see here.
Have you ever been in a dangerous situation where you've seriously been afraid or might have injured or possibly lose your life? Well, we just hit all those on the on the stories. Is there one that stands out?
Yeah, of course, getting bit by a rattlesnake. That was like I was praying to the Lord God Almighty because I thought I might actually bite it. I was counting on God to keep me alive. I don't want to go.
Have any of these moments that you were talking about today have strengthened your faith in God?
Yes.
Have you always had the foundation,
I've always had a foundation. I haven't always done the right thing in my life.
Right.
You know, and I didn't live like a perfect life or anything like that. But every time I'm in trouble or something like that, or even a bad day of fishing, I prayed to God in the name of Jesus, help us find fish, and we find fish.
Yeah.
Or I'm in a bad situation, He's gotten out of it. Okay, I'm in the hospital. I'm sitting thinking about it. And I can feel the venom destroying me. You know, I'm thinking, wow, close calls. Sometimes, like, other than that, like when an alligator almost got me, it's so fast. Like, okay, he didn't get you. Keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're okay. The alligator swung at me. Let's say almost gets my arm. He didn't get it. I turn around and keep going after the alligator. You're not done.
Right.
So there's close calls, and there's where you actually get tagged in something. Yeah, you're already in a bad situation.
It's got to be freaky.
Yeah.
Like really, do you ever think like, man, I put myself in this situation?
I got gored by I used to hunt boar with spear too.
Right.
That's another thing. There's arm here. I'm missing a tendon here from a wild boar. I don't know if you can see it. It's
wow. Yeah.
Let
me see that.
How cool is that?
This tendon is cut.
Wow, that's gnarly, man.
Yeah, this hand doesn't work. Both of them are messed up.
Right.
Rattlesnake and boar. But the blood was shooting out like this. And that was
You bleeding out?
Yeah, I had to go like this to stop the bleeding. He got my leg too. I was tangled with him in the ground. The guides told me that I'm not as great of a hunter as I am of fisherman. I'm good at spearfishing, but I'm not the best in the world. I'm better at hand catching fish, gators, and things like that. But I know a few people that can spear very well. I was good enough to make a living at it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so these guys that know, they're all climbing trees when I wounded that boar. Oh, why are they climbing trees? I'm thinking. And the guy goes, he's doing this. He goes, he's sharpening his teeth. If you go in those palmettos, he's going to bite you. Okay. I went in there and sure enough.
Really cool.
And next thing you know, like, okay, this is Savage Wild. The producer cut it out, but the blood was coming out. He said, these people are going to think, we're suicidal because I got bit by a rattlesnake the year before. In the second year, I'm bleeding all over the place, gored by a boar. And I said,
he wants to eat
the producer probably thinking,
Great shirt you should sell, like just with the blood shooting and he's holding his hand.
Yeah, he cut that out of the show. And so
he cut it out of the show.
Yeah, I think I don't know why he cut it out. I think he was probably panicking that if they drop us, we're not going to have the show.
I don't know, man. Sounds like you need to find a new producer with that one. That seemed like that's what you got to get on film.
So yeah, that was another again, and I remember the boar's got diseases and everything. I didn't get an infection. I thought I was going to be again. The next day, I went to clinic. The lady goes, "It's not infected." What? It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Every time it is, and then other people, and then they gave me antibiotics, and a doctor friend of mine prescribed me more antibiotics, another 4 more days. So I took antibiotics for 14 days, and it healed. The only thing I noticed, okay, there's something wrong, and then later on I figured out there's something wrong with this form. When I pick up a weight or something like that, I notice it twists a little bit like that. It's because that tendon is cut or damaged or whatever in there.
Never the same again. Wow. And you've been through a lot. Really. I mean, and you even had I heard you had like a really bad COVID run too, didn't you?
I had what it was. I have a large prostate. Okay. So when I got bit by a rattlesnake, I can't pee. When I got ciguatera poison, I can't pee. So the first time they gave me Flomax.
You have ciguatera too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I like to eat barracudas too.
Right.
But yeah, they're good.
You're only supposed to eat them when they're small, though, right?
Yeah, but I've eaten big ones. Nothing happened. If you eat too many of them, it accumulates in your body.
Right.
So that might have something to do with it. But what happened was the rattlesnake. They gave me all this medicine, right, and that constricts you. So when I had COVID medicine, whatever, I had a hard time. I was getting these horrible back pains, and it's because I couldn't pee. So it wasn't the COVID wasn't the problem. It was, because I had fever like one day.
Right.
A half hour later, there's no more. I never had fever again. So it says you're in the hospital because you got horrible back pain. And finally, the doctors figured out they put a catheter in me. Okay. And the pain went away. And eventually, I had to get a procedure done. So, I wouldn't have that problem. It says, yeah, if you don't, you're going to have problems.
So your COVID ended up being just the effect that, wow. So after you got the catheter in there, that really just end of COVID?
Yeah, well, I was okay. I was still positive, but I felt fine.
Right.
But I had fever. The pain, the horrible pain I was getting is, when you can't, I was backed up.
Wow.
So that's what happened. It says if I would have lived in medieval time, probably those people died back then. I don't know why.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Well, they did because they can't. They have no way of treating it.
People always say that too. They're like, "Oh man, if you could go back in time to any period, what would it be?" I'm like,
"What would it be?"
I think we'd all die. Like if we went back to like any period, like really, you went to medieval times, like you probably would get some sort of disease that you wouldn't be immune to.
Yeah, they can't treat you.
They probably think you're like a witch.
Genghis Khan, what was it? I'm into history. Genghis Khan died at 60. William the Conqueror died at 60.
Yeah.
Alexander
the Great, I think, died in his 20s, right? Something like that.
Yeah, he's super young. Early. Well, he did too much. He's also a heavy drinker too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was. I think he had immunity in battle. He was prophesied to conquer.
Right. Yeah.
By the Hebrew Bible.
Mm-hmm.
When they talk to King of Greece, I'm pretty sure it's him they're talking about.
Right.
So once he heard that, they brought it to him. So he knew, if he believed that he wasn't going to die in battle, he was going to die afterwards.
Right.
And then his generals would divide the empire, which is what they did.
So before we started recording, we were hanging out, we were talking about the trident, right?
Yes.
And we talked about the gladiators, right?
Right.
Give me some of that, because what you were telling me before, because found that really fascinating. Because I was like, "Oh, are you killing fish with these things?" You're like, "Yeah, I kill a lot of fish, but they used to kill people with these things."
Yeah, I mean that's I don't recommend killing people with these
No, no,
things.
no,
And
no, no.
not a
We're not
gladiator.
condoning that.
I believe in treating people right. Okay, so
Right. But
uh,
this thing is sick, dude. You made this?
yes, yeah, I hand make them. I catch fish with them.
Right.
Mostly,
So you're using these?
we tie a rope on the end of it, and we throw them at like tilapias or garbs
Right.
or anything from a boat. But I can go underwater and catch fish with them. I mean, I catch fish with knives underwater, hand spears. I mean, I caught a 48-pound amberjack without any, just a spear with a detachable and a line in the back of it with no rubber. When an amberjack came by, went like this and stabbed him.
Right through them.
And then I hung on and rode the amberjack. Free diving, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I catch fish primitive like that.
Right.
But yeah, we could.
Do you
catch...
feel like a deeper connection to the like? Because all right, a topic that we talk about on this show sometimes is like that connection you feel like when you're fishing, right? And even like a camaraderie with other people, right? When you're in the moment, and it's kind of like this, you can't really define it necessarily. And you say, oh yeah, man, we you catch a big mahi like on a boat, just traditional fishing with someone, like you remember that with that person like forever, and it's almost like you bond with that person more than you say, oh yeah, I remember we hung out at that bachelor party or at that wedding. It's like you forget all those party stuff, but when you caught that big fish with that person, like you remember that forever. We always try to like put our thumb on like what is that, you know what I mean? And we kind of like said it was like this primitive thing innate in us, right?
We like to fish. It's challenging. We can eat the fish. We can let the fish go. We can do all kinds of things. But fishing is #1 sport in the world.
Right.
I'm talking hook and line. I hook and line fish too. It's relaxing sometimes. But okay, a guy wants to set a record. He's going to catch a 400-pound marlin on 20-pound test, something outrageous like that. He's going through a challenge, and he's like trying to break that barrier and get there with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of like, I understand how that goes, because I'm trying to go, okay, instead of hook and line, I'm going to catch this fish with my hands. How am I going to do that to try to, break that barrier and go beyond that? Like I caught fish with knives,
That's what I mean. Like, do you feel like when you're that close to it, like you're catching a fish with a knife or getting that deep? I mean, do you feel like there's more of like a innate like human hunter primitive kind of aspect to this? I mean, does it make you feel like more connected to the moment?
It's there's something about that primitive hunt.
Yeah.
Like with these tridents, yeah, we throw them at fish. We get them. I hunted wild boar with trident too, because I kept missing with a spear. So I came up with the idea, why don't I just throw a trident into them? And that worked out perfect.
Really?
And I was also taking people gator hunting, not me, our guys, our clientele. And I said, hey, you want to try this? And I let them take out gators with my tridents. We had one crew they could throw. And we see a gator like off on the side of the canal, put a light on him at night, and the guy with a rope in the end, he would throw it, hit the gator, and we just pulled him right in like gigging a giant frog, pulling huge gators like this. But these people most people, you got to snag them first. But these guys could actually hit them
like
at a
the
distance.
Treble hook, like a fishing rod.
Yeah, they snag them, and then when a gator comes up for air, gets close, the guy throws a trident. I hold the rope. Yeah. I said, he's all yours. You go for it,
Right.
And then we pull him in. The guy gets us, hopefully buys my trident. He's happy, takes his gator. And that's kind of like what I do sometimes now. Most of the time, I don't want to get.
So you're hunting for gator at times, right?
Yes, I'm helping people hunt gators.
You're helping people. All right, so you're not bank sticking them.
Most of the time they used to,
when
but
he's got the trident.
No, I'm trying to.
When you show them a trident, the hunter goes, "Oh wow, that's different."
Right, that's why I'm saying
they want to go on a primitive route. You can use your rifle right here. It's private land. They can shoot them with a rifle right there when they pull them up.
Yeah.
Or you can use their handgun. Every once in a while, like how one guy that's sponsored by, let's say, Desert Eagle.
Right.
He had to use his handgun. But other people, it's my product. They can throw a trident into them. They can get a picture with a gator, and they feel more accomplished.
Yeah, like
by doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel more accomplished. The kudo with a knife.
Right.
For example, that thing could have. It was in the Outer Banks. I had a swarm of kudo around me. at that time is the guy told me to get me a spadefish.
Mm-hmm.
He won the Made in a Boat wanted one. So I shot him one, and when I was coming to the boat, all the kudas attacked me. And it occurred to me,
They attacked you.
Oh yeah, they were biting the fish. They're gonna bite. I was pushing them with my hands. They were so aggressive.
Really?
In the Outer Banks.
Did they bite you?
No, he almost did. So when I stabbed this one, I grabbed him by here. I think that thing was like just. I mean, if I don't, the knife went that deep. If I didn't grab him by here,
right,
he would have bit me here. You get bit by kuda, he'll bite your head off.
Yeah.
He could have really, really messed me up. So then
and they get pretty big.
And a bull shark came up. So I had a bull shark on me and everything else. The fish in the Carolinas are very aggressive. A guy handed me a fish he had speared, and I didn't have to hit it with a knife or anything. All of a sudden, a sandbar shark came up from the bottom at high speed, took it right out of my hand.
Wow.
So fish are, they're very aggressive. So aggressive, I was able to get a kuda with a knife. I don't think I'll ever do that again.
You don't think you'll ever do that again? I mean, I can imagine, like, I have to imagine, like, the teeth on a kuda. That's pretty scary shit.
I know this guy got bitten, big guy got bitten in his ankle.
Right.
I mean, down here, it broke that bone.
Really?
The whole broke it in one bite. 5-foot kuda. Snapped his bone. It bit him for no reason either.
Remember one time my brother and I were fishing an alligator light. And there's a lot of those barracuda that
there's
are there, like
there.
around him there. And he's like, "Oh, watch this! I'm gonna." We had fished all day. We had got our mahi and our wahoo and everything like that. And we came into alligator a little bit just to jump in the water. You know what I mean? And just have a good time. And so we see these 2 kuda, or 3 or 4 kuda actually. And he goes, "Oh, he had a tube lure. Down in the Keys they use those tube lures, right? So he had a tube lure and he threw it out. And then we had 2 of them kind of looking at it. Right? And one going for it, and one he was just hesitant the whole time. It's like, man, he's not biting this thing. And then he finally hooked up, and the second he hooked up, that second one turned on him and snapped him right in half.
Snapped the other kuda.
Yeah, like he was just waiting for it to happen. I think, and that explains why he was so hesitant the first couple of times he didn't want to do it.
Because he knows the other one will eat him.
Yeah, and like literally, like in a flash, the second he was hooked up, boom. We dragged in ahead.
I believe you definitely 100%. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
It shows you just how aggressive those fish can get.
Yeah, for sure. So there's all this stuff going on with sharks and the talk of sharks and the fishermen against the sharks versus the divers and the sharks, right? Thank you, Carly. We touched on this a little bit, like when we were just kind of hanging out before the show. And there has been some controversy, and there's been some butting heads of the 2 different cultures of fishermen versus divers, and Yanni and I and Nick, we were always talking about, man, growing up it was kind of really weird, like fishing and diving always just went hand in hand, and but it seems like recently there's been almost like a divide, and this shark thing is really at the center of the divide. Like, what's your take on all this?
Well, I think the ocean's big enough, and people should be considerate of others and respect everybody's industry. Respect the shark divers and all that, but also they need to respect the fishermen. And the shark populations are very high right now, and they're making it difficult for divers and fishermen. Divers are getting bit, and fishermen are losing their catch, but the divers are getting annihilated.
Yeah,
they're
all. But it seems like it's the divers that's kind of they're the ones kind of like saying, "Oh, don't touch the sharks," the poor sharks. And
you got the divers that do shark tours that take people to see sharks. Their business is showing them sharks and putting them underwater.
Right.
The guys who are out shooting fish, they're out to get fish. They really don't want the sharks around them because the sharks will bite them when they're spearfishing.
Right.
Some guys, I talked to a lot of guys that don't want to go in the water. They're afraid of getting bit by shark. It's gotten so bad.
Right.
I mean, other guys,
and rightfully so.
They're also shooting cobia off of bull sharks, which is a good way to get attacked also.
Right.
That's a very dangerous thing to do. You get a nice cobia, but you can also get killed. But, some sharks are, divers are brave, and they want to do that. They're free to do it, You should be able to do whatever you want out there.
Yeah.
That's why I think about it. But
So how do you feel then about, like, because recently there's been a lot of government regulations and FWC overreach. It's too much, right?
It's too much. They should let people fish. The guys got an area where they do the shark dives. They'll keep them there. Don't go fish sharks where they're doing a dive. Go fish sharks somewhere else. But you should be able to catch sharks. It's like another fish and take it home.
Yeah.
You want it on your wall. You want the jaws. Fine. You want to make it into steaks. You want to tan the hide into leather, which makes excellent leather. Whatever, you got to be reasonable.
Right.
And if you see there's a lot of one thing, okay, there's a lot of the one thing. If you see something, hey man, the population this year is really low. You know how they do with deer? They go, hey, we have a lot of deer this year. You can take 5. The next year they go, hey, the deer population is low. Only take 2 this year. Same thing. Goliath groupers sell a few tags out there like they do with the gators. Yeah. I mean, if you see a divers going into a wreck, they got the Goliath grouper named Bill, whatever. Everybody hand feeds and plays with them. Don't go there. It's or the marina where they got their pet. Don't kill people's. Just certain areas. It's common sense.
Yeah.
These guys are doing that here. These guys are got shark dives in Jupiter. I wouldn't fish for their sharks so they're doing their dive.
Right.
Go fish them. Go to Miami. Go to Jacksonville or whatever. Go fish them somewhere else so you don't interfere with their thing. If you catch a few sharks, it's not. They just don't want to ruin their business. And again, they shouldn't infringe on others. But the government is. When I was a kid, people fed alligators.
Right.
They fed bears. They fed sharks. They fed everything. Nothing ever happened. It's just nobody gave a crap. Now it's like, oh, it's a no-no. You're feeding wildlife. All my life, it's only in the last years of my life that all of a sudden that became a no-no. When I was in the Keys, they fed the key deer. They fed the raccoons. Every time there was gators, people would go out to the pond, and everywhere from Gainesville all the way to the Keys, and people fed gators all across the state of Florida, millions. And yeah, every once in a while something happened. Most of the time, nothing. At the Yellowstone Park, everybody went out there and fed the bears. That was a cool thing. Everybody pulled over on the side of the road. The bears would come down, and people marshmallows everywhere. Every once in a while, some guy got between the bear and the food, and something happened. But we've always fed wildlife, one way or another. They closed the dump, and the bears started breaking into people's houses.
Right.
Sometimes they don't know what they're doing, and they mess up.
Sometimes, yeah. More often than not, I think.
More often than not.
Yeah.
And they mess up. But the alligators, yeah, there's a gator season. There's a nuisance control to keep them away from people. Some people don't have good sense around alligators, and they get bit. Sharks, stay up current of the fish you spear. Beware of that. But if there's too many sharks, they should have a shark fishing tournament here and there to kind of like even things out a little bit, in certain areas. You could have a couple. And if you notice that there's a certain type of shark that's being depleted, then stop catching it. But treat that the same you would deer or bear or any other game animal.
Yeah.
It's
like they do that with snook. They'll close snook fisheries for a couple of years, and then they replenish, and then they lift it and everything.
And then you get a cold freeze, and millions of them die.
Right. Exactly. and it's so funny, like. Over time, like we think man has so much control over this, but really nature has way more control over it than
sometimes you get a red tide. Red tides have been there they were documented 240 years ago.
Right.
Could maybe the fertilizer enhance them? Maybe. They say that it does, but the Gulf of Mexico, the water is rich. There's more fish there than in the Atlantic because all the rivers, you want to catch fish, go where there's a river emptying.
Yeah.
That's where your fish are at. So people go there's more fish per acre in the Gulf of Mexico than there is in the Atlantic. So you're going to get red tides to bring down their numbers.
I think in a lot of ways, too, it's like we're different here than other parts of the world, too. Like they may have shark issues there, but maybe they're just going to different places and they don't realize it. Like a good friend of mine, Andy Moyes, who's just legendary fisherman. He goes up to Canada every season to fish for bluefin. He's an expert on it, right? And for years, they said, oh, the bluefin are gone. We need to change all these laws and everything. But there's very conflicting theories about the captains and anglers who target these species that they'll say they're smart. They just went where you weren't fishing. And they just went to a different area of the ocean. And now they're back in full force. And it's like, yeah, well, it was just kind of cyclical for them. You know what I mean? And they think that they're going endangered. But a lot of guys that are there every day say, no, they're still there. They're just not where you are.
The sea bounces back real quick.
Right. It really does.
You take Miami, okay, we're going to shut down fishing for 2 years in Miami. And in 2 years, the first they go out, the reef will be covered in fish. It replenishes certain areas. And then you open this area, fish the heck out of it, then close this area, and then you alternate them.
Right. The sharks are the same thing. So there's recently some laws that got passed for the sharks, right? That, like you say, very soon, we saw the shark population rose very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's evident in the stories of the anglers that are getting their fish bit in half left and right more than they ever have in their in really the recent history of South Florida, because more sharks are allowed to swim the waters. They don't have any more longliners. The shark fishermen are gone, right? And that's another place when they made these laws. That's another area where it's evident that now that they're gone.
They used to have shark fishing tournaments.
Yeah, they used to have shark fishing tournaments too.
They don't have anymore.
So we're seeing that. Yeah, okay, happy. Everyone's happy. The shark populations are up, but there's more attacks now, right? More fishermen are getting their fish bit in half, and now you're wasting. You want to put regulations on fish, but now they're getting bit in half by sharks. So what's the point?
Yeah,
look at the yellowfin tuna. You can't even yellowfin tuna fish in the Bahamas anymore.
No, that's all insane. Let me tell you, when I was spearfishing for a living, none of these sharks went extinct. They all came back. But you could spearfish day in, day out without ever seeing one shark. I found them because I had to work real hard and wait for them and bait them and wait till the sun went down. I mean, I was out there all day to get the sharks to come in. It was really hard work
and a
lot of patience. Now it's easy.
Yeah.
But back then it was safe to spearfish all day. You could fish all day. You wouldn't have a problem. The sharks were thinned out and it was no problem. There's people go spearing tuna.
Yeah.
And in Central America on the Pacific side, the sharks have been so overfished that they don't have a worry when they're spearfishing about sharks. They don't see them.
Yeah.
No sharks. But out here, it's insane.
You forget about it.
And the great white shark population's exploding everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, they've been protected so long. So
there's been a lot of reports recently of them coming in very shallow waters.
There's more seals out there for them to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be more great white, and they're protected. So their foods are protected, and they're protected. The planet is great white friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got a lot more of them now than you ever will.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, we're gonna fire through some of our last questions here.
What's the craziest thing you experienced with the Wild Boys, from Christopher Kubik?
Chris Kubik asked that.
I got two questions that kind of go, because Wild Boys is Jackass, and Jackass.
I did mostly Wild Boys, but I did both.
There's one. What's the craziest thing have you ever experienced with the Wild Boys, and then what's the craziest you've ever experienced with Jackass? There's two questions on here. One's from Jason Harrington and one's from Chris Kubik.
My favorite with the Wild Boys was swimming in the Gulf of Mexico with the Duskies. We had a great day out there with them.
Mm-hmm.
First time in my life I saw Duskies. We almost got Steve-O killed that day too.
Oh,
and then
really?
Another time.
How?
I think I remember that episode.
We had him on a surfboard and we tied a bunch of meat on it, fish on it.
So
and he was on a surfboard and we had like 25 silkies and 8 dusky sharks all at the same time attacking the bait while he's on the. Okay, keep your hands and feet out on top of the board. You know?
Until his ride comes to a complete stop.
That was
right?
crazy. And then the other thing was, swimming with the grizzly bears in Alaska.
Right.
And the killer whales. That was a great day for me to do that. And the good day on Jackass when I almost got Steve-O killed by a mako shark.
Wow.
That's your most terrifying mako shark, Steve-O?
Well, he almost, everybody saw that. It was on the movies.
That's got to be a rush, living through that.
He kicked the mako shark by accident.
Right.
And that's what saved his life. Thankful to Lord God.
Right.
Again, that happened. Because I took my head out of the water. I think that made Steve-O believe that God exists. That way. I stuck my head out of the water and I said, Steve-O, look out.
Right.
The mako was coming to eat right out of my hand, and all of a sudden, we were done with him. A hammerhead circled Steve-O. We had the shot. He's in the, he had a hook in his mouth. He's in the boat. And then they threw him back in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know they had. So the mako shows up. Oh, wow, we got a mako. Let's play with it. So the guys were in the water, so we're going to film it. So mako's coming to eat it. And he doesn't take my bait. He turns around and goes straight after Steve-O.
Right after Steve-O.
He had his head out of the water so the shark couldn't see his eyes or anything.
Right.
So he's going to go get the easiest victim. So that's another thing about sharks. They like to attack when you're not looking.
Right.
All these predators like to attack when you're not looking.
I mean, living through that, right? Living through these moments, that's got to be.
Yeah, sharks.
Once you're the moment's probably scary as shit, but once you're out of it, you're like, wow,
if you have
I lived through that.
A stick in your hand, you push at a shark, stay up current of the blood, whatever, and look. If the water's real dirty and you can't see him, you're sitting duck.
Right.
Like a swimmer, a guy in the beach, swimming in the beach, he doesn't see a shark coming, he's a sitting duck. He can't defend himself.
Yeah.
Surfer can't defend himself. To me, I don't go into the ocean without a mask on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to see, right?
Even if it's right on the shore, anywhere. The sharks come right in on the shore. Anyway, yeah, I like having a mask to see, but I've hunted sharks and I hand-fed sharks where I couldn't see my hand. I held the bait like that. See, I'm not going to do that now. It's back then, you know. And here comes a shark, a big old lemon shark taken right out of my hand, and murky water.
Wow.
So, and also I shot a bull shark one time in real dirty water. Going tide.
Did you see him coming?
Anything. No. When I saw him, he was right here. I shot him like this, right on top of the head. Kaboom!
Really?
Popped him. 300-pound bull came up on me like
300 pounds?
Yeah.
Those bulls are mean, huh? Is that probably the meanest shark in the water?
The most unpredictable. I seen him get really mean. I got attacked by 6 bull sharks for a half hour nonstop.
Right.
And I had no fish on me. I got away from the crew. I went looking for spearfishing commercial. I got away from everybody. And it ended when they came and found me. They came looking for me. I couldn't get back to the boat. They had me pinned. Every time I tried to swim, they were coming at me. So I'd take the butt of the spear gun. I hit one like 5 times on top of the head to keep them off me. And they attack again and again. So it was like they had me, and the water was clear that day. So I could see them coming from way deep. And they were at me, and I hit this one, and then hit this one, and hit this one. It's just nonstop for a half hour. They would not give up on me. They kept coming after me, And okay, where's the blood or anything? No, they're supposed to leave. No, they're not leaving. That's why people,
wow.
When I say they do things that you've never seen, that I didn't ever expect it to ever act that way. So I said, this happens to some people out here shipwrecked. They're done.
Yeah, they're done. Done.
Oh, another thing I wanted
it's like that U.S. in Indianapolis story.
Okay, I wanted to go there.
Oh, yeah?
Because
I read your mind?
Well, yeah, the ocean. I don't really feed sharks anymore, but in the last years, I only did the open ocean sharks, like blue sharks and makos, because they're never going to come on the beach. They're never going to see another human again. So if I hand-fed a mako out there, it ain't like next week that mako bit somebody on the beach, because he's never going to see another human being again.
Right.
He's never seen another person. He lives in the middle of the ocean, and he's never going to see another one again. So when I interact with them, it ends there. So I find blues and makos. They don't hang out on the beach. It's 1 in a million. A shark will show up on a beach. So they live in a different world. They're very dangerous to humans. The blues and makos and those sharks, but they're not a coastal shark like the bull and the tiger. They come in on the beach and attack people.
Right.
Or the black tip. Black tip bites a lot of people in Florida.
Right, right.
So I like the ocean shark. The only thing is if you're doing it, you can't guarantee the ocean sharks because they'll move off.
Yeah.
So you can't go in the middle Pacific and say, "Hey, we're going to go find sharks." You know, you might disappoint your clientele. So that's why they got to have a certain base to do it.
This is incredible stuff. Really, really, really is. Really is.
Tim,
you got a couple more questions that you want to ask?
We got just about 2 more, I believe. Tim Curran. Mm-hmm. You talk a lot about alligators. Have you ever, or would you ever dive with saltwater crocodiles?
I dove with American crocodile, saltwater American crocodile before.
Okay.
Oh, those ones down in the Keys?
Yeah, they're in the Keys.
They're
here. They get enormous.
Yeah.
They've been
seeing those a lot more lately too,
There's
haven't
more
they?
of them. The only thing is that the central North Florida is too cold for them, so they stick to South Florida. The crocodile cannot handle the cold weather as good as an alligator. He doesn't have the endurance of an alligator. He's faster than an alligator, but alligators have more endurance and stronger. They'll fight longer.
Okay. You know, and that actually leads us to this other question here by Randy Strauss.
Correct. Go ahead, Dennis.
No, go ahead.
It says, from Randy Strauss, does the sex of an alligator embryo really depend on the temperature or weather conditions?
Yeah, the eggs, the temperature of the nest will indicate whether the baby alligator will become a male or female.
Okay.
Amazing.
So if you get an egg and you incubate it, you're going to say, I'm going to have all these to be males, or I'm going to make all these females. So depending on the nest, where the sun hits, when the female puts the eggs in there, some will be males and females depending on the heat.
Wow, that's interesting. I never knew that.
That is pretty neat. That actually might be the...
Yeah, it might be. As if Randy Strauss needs another bottle of rum.
Let's see here. Well, I know Tiny's a buddy of yours, and I can't leave him out. But I think we had this conversation in the car on the way over here. Have you ever seen a skunk ape?
I've never seen a skunk ape.
What is your beliefs on those?
I don't believe they exist.
You don't believe they exist? All right.
There's a lot of things that exist, but there's no proof of that.
There is no Sasquatch.
No.
Sorry, Jack Links.
You can find all the rare animals in the world. You go out there to an expedition, people will find them, and that's what it is. Physical animals, fishes and everything. Almost everything has been found. The rare species and everything, but I don't think there's anything hidden out there, especially where people say, "Oh, they're in the Everglades, they're here, they're every corner of the world."
Right.
Has Sasquatch in it. Where are they?
I mean, what is there? There's skunk ape, there's Sasquatch, chupacabra.
Those might be.
Chupacabra is a coyote with mange.
Yeah. Is that all that is?
Yeah.
It's not like a thing.
I found people had one and they did the research on it. It was a coyote with mange. It looked like a freaky thing. It was the poor thing had mange. That's what it was.
All right. So that exists.
Yes.
Right. All right. So what are the other ones that don't exist? The abominable snowman. Yep.
Those are all supposed to be the same thing. That was the first one they ever came up with, the Yeti, the footprints. But to this day, there's never found them. For one thing, in the top of those high mountains, there's nothing to eat up there.
Right.
That's like the deep ocean doesn't have as much food in it as the coastal areas. The best place for fish would be like south of Louisiana.
Right.
Because the Mississippi empties into there, so that's the reason there's so much fish there. There's tuna,
I heard
snapper,
that's like
sharks.
George Pavaromo swears that Venice, Louisiana is the best fishery in the continental United States.
I agree.
Yeah, that's why he says it all the time to me.
I've been there. I swam in there. I had giant wahoos swimming by me.
Yeah.
Giant yellowfin tuna, sharks, all kinds of sharks. So that's where we found the 600-pound mako.
Right.
I have everything out there. Oh yeah, the fish people take it for granted just how much fish is there. But there's a ton of fish.
That's crazy. That's great. It's like, I read the book, In the Heart of the Sea. It's about the whole real story of Moby Dick kind of thing, like how it actually really happened.
I know the story too. It's really cool.
But it's interesting that there's that whole, where they drifted to after the whole ship sunk, next to Chile and stuff, there's like a dead zone in the sea. Like where they said there's like not a lot of fish there like at all, and in like an entire part of the sea. And that was really there's a lot of dead zones in the sea.
Well, they reported it back then. So I guess I've always been there.
Yeah.
I don't know what causes it. There's certain things that I think when fish populations get real high, certain things kill it off.
Yeah.
And balancing things out.
Right.
Like there's no red tides in really the Atlantic side, but the waters are not as rich. The richer waters that produce more fish are in the Gulf because all the rivers empty into it. The river is what feeds the big continents, or the main rivers. They bring the nutrients out into the sea, and that produces your shrimp fisheries, your oysters, attracts all the food chain right there.
Right. It all starts with bait.
It all starts right there.
Yeah. Interesting. We good on the questions?
Last one.
Last one?
I'm probably going to butcher the gentleman's name, Dave Schlute.
Okay.
Have you ever met Steve Irwin along your journeys?
Briefly, I met him once in the Miami airport, Steve Irwin.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually, wow, look at that. I read that question originally, and I'm like, that's going to be what do you actually did meet him?
Yeah, he was interested in water moccasins. He goes, yeah, they're rad and everything. He saw this wife.
Was he really like that in person, like high energy like that?
He was high energy. His wife and they were like looking at me like that.
Right.
I showed him a picture of me with an alligator in a swamp, and he goes, where is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, give me a call. We'll do a show. He never did. Then he went out to Florida. He went out to Silver Springs and tried to do a show. Yeah. He went out and tried to do it on his own. Yeah.
Did they ever make an episode out of that?
They did. I saw one of the episodes he did. Another time, he went to Louisiana. He got bit by an alligator, made everybody sign. They were not going to say anything about it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They had one of those. When I was in Louisiana, they told me all about it.
Really?
Yeah. It was one of those. But that's okay,
Yeah.
The Animal Planet bought us so we wouldn't compete against them.
Oh, really?
Because we had Extreme Contact. He used to come on right after his show. Back in the day, yeah.
Which show?
Extreme Contact.
And they bought it out so they should... Wow.
Yeah.
Really? That's interesting. So of all the shows
me,
you did,
it was Mark, Megan, the three of us. We also did the Hawaii thing with tiger sharks. The three of us back then. I'm talking like 20 something years ago. We did it. She was a freedive champion. He was the cameraman.
What do you consider like your greatest achievement, like on film? Like, what was your most favorite thing you've ever done?
There's a bunch of them.
Too much to choose from.
For sharks, that day in California, we had 6 makos and 3 blues.
Right.
We were done by 3:00. We had so much footage, and we made 2 episodes that day. But as far as sharks, I mean, I hand caught 2 of them the same day.
Yeah.
And makos are so cool. So that was probably. But I had great shows with great hammerheads, with lemon sharks. I mean, just tigers. I had a great time with all those different types of shark.
Nice.
It's an awesome feeling to be out there doing all this stuff.
Right.
It's cool. Yeah, you got to go through being out there and making it happen, doing it, and the pressure also when you're on the TV to make it happen. We're out there. We don't know what we're gonna find.
Yeah.
They want me to start talking, and I'm like, let me talk about it after it happens. And he wanted me to. I don't want to go off of, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. No, that's baloney. Let's get out there, and then we'll talk about it. I don't want to talk about it now until it happens. Yeah. I only like to talk about what happened, not what's going to happen.
I did a TV show with George Gods once. It's called Unfathom. We were fishing right out front here, and we're going to do a full day of fishing. And we only caught like 1 kingfish in the morning. And we're like, oh, that's really not enough to do like a whole show on, And then, finally we put the kites up in the afternoon. The wind picked up a little bit, and we ended up like going like 3 for 3 on sailfish. Like that, like saved the show. And I remember we're like, what a relieving feeling that was, because you're like going all day. You're like, man, nothing's happening. This could be like the worst show ever. I mean, you had to probably experience that a lot. Like wondering like when the tide's going to turn, literally.
Sometimes some shows are not as good as others.
Yeah.
We had shows that were very lame. We did one on turtles, and people, the Outdoor Channel complained, hey, that was pretty lame, but you can't have a, top of the line every single time,
Yeah.
It just doesn't go that way. We did one with sturgeons that wasn't dangerous, but it was cool fish, diving with sturgeons in the Swanee River.
Mm-hmm. Oh, in the Swanee.
Yeah.
Yeah, upstate. That's cool.
You could see from me to you underwater. I had sturgeons coming by, and we're just in there. I'd never seen a sturgeon before.
They're
so
pretty big,
filming.
huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. They look like 200 pounds.
Wow.
Some of them. And Gulf sturgeons, they go up in the Swanee. But yeah, they're not going to eat you. They're not going to do anything to you, but it's just a cool fish to see,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like seeing tarpon. It's cool to see them underwater. Big fish, not everything has to be dangerous, there's just cool fish out there.
Yeah, nice. What's next for you?
Right now, mostly my artwork.
Right.
I do want to go do some more hand fishing.
Okay.
If I do another show, I might focus on going out to catch different types of fish by hand. I went through a list the other day. It's something like 30 different types of fish that I hand grabbed.
Yeah.
Fresh and salt, yeah.
That's what's on your list that you really are after?
Right now, whatever's out there. I like going out there to go spear fishing for like mullet, things like that. Like in the lake, I don't mind going out to gig mullet.
Right.
I've caught a lot of big fish before. I used to hunt Goliath grouper for a living before I shot 118 of them when it was legal, before
before the feds came on you?
Well, when it became illegal, then I decided, man, the coolest thing to do is hand catch them. But before that, we were commercial spearfishing, and we were shooting them. I remember filleting them out, skinning them out, packing them, and selling them and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we used to get a whole bunch of them back in the day. I shot a lot of black grouper, mangrove snapper, dove a lot of lobster.
Nice. Is there one fish on your list that you're like, man, I gotta get that?
There's a bunch.
You ever hand caught a wahoo?
No.
I'm just like reaching for straws here. I'm like, that's a fast fish, obviously, but
no. I hand fed a
what about a sailfish?
No, I speared a sailfish in 1980.
Really?
Let me tell you what happened. When I came to the dock, the fisherman gave me a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Now they would hang you.
Yeah.
In 1980, they were clapping when I came in. They go, look in the boat. Make sure there's no rod and reel. No, we speared this thing. They thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. You're allowed to harvest one.
Yeah, they don't want you to spear them.
They don't want,
No, you can't. I think it's illegal. It's got to be caught with rod and reel.
Yeah.
I think on a hand line. So it wasn't passed. Hey, we don't want you to spear them. But they put rod and reel only. So if you spear one, oh, you broke the law. But, like one kid shot one and they wanted to hang him. That was like 15 years ago or more. Yeah, nowadays, you don't want to spear sailfish. But when I shot it in 1980, everybody thought it was the best thing ever.
The fastest fish in the ocean.
Yeah, I shot them. That thing went after me after I speared him.
Really?
Fire rocks. Yeah, do not underestimate them. He went right.
That's what I say that a lot. And you see all these people, they're jumping in the water. They want to get the picture with their marlin and everything like that. It's the marlins.
They can.
You
kill
don't want
you.
to mess with that fish.
They can kill you. And the swordfish, never mind.
Right. The swordfish, forget about it.
Everybody's ever shot one has ended up getting stabbed, I heard.
Yeah. I mean, they find, you talk about the orcas. I mean, they found marlin bills snapped off in the side of orcas before. I mean, they're that's an aggressive fish.
They found a bull shark with a sailfish bill stuck in it.
That's crazy.
A sailfish. Yeah, fish are marlins. Although the billfish are dangerous, and the swordfish is probably the most dangerous fish in the sea. More dangerous than a shark. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You rather run into a mako sometimes, and the mako sneaks up on the swordfish from behind. That's why these fishermen said they find him with a tail bit off, and then he's finishing him off because he sneaks and gets a tail before he figures it out.
Wow. Manny, thank you so much for coming in today. I've enjoyed this.
We had a good time. I mean, this is a normal conversation I have with my friends and stuff like that. Get together.
Well, that's all we want to do here.
Have a cup of coffee and have a conversation.
That's it. That's all we want to do here on this show. That's all it is. It's an unscripted. The funny thing is, see over there, those are my little notes that I wanted to make sure I hit on there, and I actually never even looked at them because that's what we do on the show. It's just a hangout, man. I had a really, really great time.
Yeah, a great show. You got a great place.
Thank you.
For it too.
And
thank you.
We spoke in the car about maybe coming back before the boat show, and you also wanted to bring a guest too.
Yeah. You want to come on the show again?
Before Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, before Fort Lauderdale show. Let me talk to Sherry.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
And bring her in here.
Dude, I'd love to have you back in here.
She's a women's spearfishing champion, world champion.
Yeah. We have a couple times on the show.
Right? Sherry Day.
You know Julie Higgs? So we had Julie Higgs on the show, and she's national champion. She took national champion, two-time national champion. Well, and she's going to play. She's going to internationals this year right now too.
Is that with Joe Fernandez and that? He had a group of girls that were going to Spain to a tournament. Is that the same crowd?
Yep.
Okay, that's them. Yeah.
Yep. And Julie's on that team. And Julie's been on this show twice.
I met them because Joe, what do you call it? Joe had me come to his show a couple times.
Okay.
I went to the one down south. Yep. And, he had the ladies there, the spearfishing, and I went to one of his...
And Julie's awesome. She's really, really cool. Super, super nice girl. And she's a firefighter up there in, I think, Jupiter?
She was probably there that day. There was a whole group of them, and they were going to Spain.
Yes.
And Joe Fernandez was there.
She just took nationals. They did the free diving in a lake in Arizona.
Oh, yeah. I heard there was, they were shooting carp.
Yes, they're shooting carp, but she took nationals. She won that competition.
Yeah, I saw some girl, I don't know who it was, shot an 84-pound wahoo with a pole spear the other days.
Recently?
I showed the shot online, and next night she's holding the wahoo with a pole spear. A wahoo doesn't usually let you get near it. It's really hard to spear.
Right.
With a pole spear, you got to get close.
Yeah.
I love pole spears that way.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
I like spearing because it's easy to reload, it's comfortable to use, and it's challenging to hunt with it. But in all reality, like shooting mangrove snapper, I can shoot more mangrove snapper with a pole spear than I can with a spear gun because it's so quick to reload. You can shoot one. I would go down on one dive, shoot a snapper, pull them off a big one, load up, shoot another one, come up for air.
Yeah, nice.
So the 270 feet I used to hold my breath 5.5 minutes underwater.
Wow. You never had any blackout scenarios, huh?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, really?
And the swimming pool. Yeah. the girl we're training, Megan, pulled me out of the water.
Oh, wow.
We're watching each other. We're doing laps on the water, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he says, "What are you doing?" They were holding me. He says, "You're messing up my routine." She goes, "No, you were completely out. You have no recollection.
You didn't even know.
When you black out, unless you get pulled out of water, you're a dead person."
Yeah.
That is number one killer of free divers.
Always got to be with a buddy, right?
A buddy that knows what he's doing, that can recognize it, and he's watching.
Yeah.
Or else watch each other, or else you're dead.
That's crazy.
It's very scary thing to happen.
Scary for sure. Wow. You gonna come back and hang out with me one day?
Sure.
Blue Wild, right? Is that?
Yeah. I'm gonna do the Blue Wild Boat Show. I'll call her tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also she's gonna do her dive show again, the Blue Wild Expo. So she does 2 shows a year right here at Fort Lauderdale place.
Okay. All right, awesome. And people want to buy your artwork? People want to buy your spears and your tridents and everything? Where do they go?
Manny Puig on Instagram.
Okay.
I got I'm holding a bull shark jaw and I got my face in it.
Okay.
If you see that, I don't know who it is or whatever, but that's me. Look me up on Instagram. I got pictures of everything. I'll send you pictures and prices, anything you want to see or you want.
Nice.
And I do custom work.
Yeah. Nice. Very, very cool. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us. Carlene, whatever.
Are we still rolling?
We're still rolling. Yeah, we're still rolling. We're still rolling. Yanni got a new haircut. Right? We're all proud of him. Right? Oh, Nick, I totally forgot to talk about Honduras. I wanted to start out with that. Nick just got back from Honduras. And he got his Grand Slam, his flats Grand Slam there. Tarpon, permit, bonefish, and what else? That's it, the 3, right?
In the Pacific or Atlantic?
No, in the Atlantic, right? Yeah.
The Pacific, they got all those tunas,
Yeah. It was Guanaja. He went there with the Fish for Change crew. Yeah, so very nice. Very nice. We good, Carlene?
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Oh, you get Nick, see, all right, so
that's
people
good. I guess when you put the hood on, it'll be easier, huh?
Yeah.
They're diving.
So excited.
Nice. All right, listen, Manny, thank you very much. Everyone look for him on Instagram, right? It was really nice hanging out with a legend today. So thank you to our sponsors, Papa's PLR Rum, Joey Cardi, W Sauce. Everyone hook it up. Finor Sunglasses, we love you. We'll end it like we always do. Your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best, and at the end of the day, just let God do the rest. And do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we're all connected by water. Manny Puig, thank you so much.
Definitely.
All right.